This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you if people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else? Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Hey guys, and welcome to the 15th episode of Criminality. Criminality. Loving reality just isn't a crime, Rebekah. Rebekah, how are you?
I'm great. Hi, nice to be here. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you in the light of day, to be quite honest.
I know. The real crack of dawn almost here. We don't typically record in mornings. We're kind of a post-bedtime quiet households recorders.
Right.
But we're recording in the morning, so this is new.
Yeah, this is new. Who knows how exactly it'll go? I have some theories, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I have a venti iced latte, so that should But yeah, speaking of seeing you, just a reminder for our listeners that we're on YouTube now.
Ooh.
Visually. You can watch us if you want to. If you want to see us and watch us tell these stories. So that's fun. You can subscribe to our channel. It's at criminalityshow. And we try not to think about being on there while we're talking to one another, or I try.
Yeah. But
yeah. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I'm reminded.
Yeah. The hard thing is, since it's, mostly podcast, is I'll see you and I start nodding. I'm like, oh no, Melissa, people can't hear you nodding. So maybe you should give a yeah every once in a while.
Every once in a while, but those are distracting too sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear myself audibly respond to you and I jump out of my seat because I'm like, shut up. Just relax.
No, I'll take as much as you want to give me. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I'm an empathetic listener. So there's a lot for me as well.
Yeah.
But I'll try to vocally affirm you as well. But good morning.
Good morning. How was your week? Big week.
Big week. Don't want to get into it, but yeah, the buildup of the homeland watching turned into actually depositing my daughter onto a campus and just leaving her, and that was a lot. But she's very happy. She's
good.
Doing well, sending pictures of the food that apparently is amazing, which tells you everything you need to know about cooking.
I know.
She gets whatever she wants. There's 10 dining halls and she's just hopping them all and loving it. Yeah, it was a lot dropping her off, but I'm so excited for her.
Oh,
I really
nice.
am. That's the overriding feeling. There's a lot of other emotions,
Sure.
but I'm so excited for her.
That's awesome. That'll be such a cool experience. I'm excited for her. Don't know her. Think she's great though.
Yeah, I'm kind of living through her.
Yeah.
The classes she's taking, man, if you could do it all over, I would do it all differently.
Yeah. I got it.
She's making good choices. How was your week?
Yeah, it was. It's been a good week. I really feel like something was going on, but now I don't remember. So clearly, it's not noteworthy.
We're living in the moment, Melissa. That's that could be the way we spin having no memory of the week prior. If nothing life-altering had happened in my life last week, I would have nothing to tell you either. I shot a little goodbye video to her. I don't know if you saw it on my dialogue Instagram, but it was me waving to her. Mm-hmm. But it was at night and there was a full moon, which I tried to capture. And then I put it in black and white. And it basically looks like the beginning of a horror movie. There's a chain link fence, an ominous sky. And so I was like, why did my goodbye with my daughter look like the beginning of the end? But you can see that on my dialogue Instagram. But anyway, big week over at my house. I am so excited to be back and to be recording. And
Me too.
I kind of know who you're talking about today, but I don't know anything about his story.
Yeah.
But there's the Stewart men.
These are the Stewart men. Good, bad, uglyish. Okay, Rebekah, in 2005, a show debuted on Fox, a show that no one asked for, much like most of our shows. And seemingly no one really watched it, as it only ran for 6 episodes. This show was called Princes of Malibu, starring Brody and Brandon Jenner. Do you remember that? Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I've certainly heard of it, and I know that this is where a lot of people got the Jenner their opinions.
Right. It's where the
Brody
Jenners
Jenner.
we started hearing about them pre-Kardashian connection.
Yeah.
So this isn't the show we're talking about today, so that was really pointless on my end. But we're talking about a show that was sort of launched off the back of this show and somehow may have been worse. And the show I'm speaking of was created 2 years later, and it was called Sons of Hollywood. This show starred Randy Spelling, son of Hollywood super producer Aaron Spelling and brother of Tori, please keep the hibachi grill away from me, Spelling, as well as a man by the name of David Weintraub. You might not be really familiar with his name. He is in a few reality shows, but he's like a producer of reality shows. I use that term. There's lots of air quotes if you're watching on video. He later becomes this reality producer of sorts, but he's like a childhood friend of theirs. And we'll get to him really soon enough. And lastly, the star of the show, if star is code for, I might have seen him on TMZ before, Sean Roderick Stewart, son of rocking rocker Rod Stewart. And Sean is who we're going to be speaking about this week for reasons I don't even necessarily remember. And so if you'll recall, my clues were Adrian, Audrina, and Maggie May. So Maggie May is a song by Rod Stewart. That was my Rod Stewart, or my one clue. And we'll get into the other two as we go along.
Okay, I'm nervous for some reason. I don't know why having two women's names and a story about him is making me uncomfy.
Yeah, no, that's probably good. It's
okay.
We've done. I'm in my douchebag phase apparently. So we've done my season, my Ryan Lochte, and this. You know, it is what it is. I think he describes himself very well, as you'll see as we go along.
I love your douchebag face. It's like Picasso's blue period. This is how you're going to be remembered. I love it.
Honestly, that's probably true. So my family would even agree. Sean Roderick Stewart was born in LA, as you can imagine, to parents Rod and Alana Stewart. Are you familiar with Alana Stewart?
I'm not. I'm familiar with Kimberly Stewart.
Okay. Well, she'll come up too. If you aren't familiar with Rod, could I please join you under the rock that you're living under? I'm tall, I don't snore, and I've been known to apologize for things I've never even done. I make the perfect roommate. But enough about my issues. On to Rod's issues. Marriage was an issue for Rod Stewart. Throughout his life, he's been married 3 times, but has famously had 8 children with 5 lucky ladies.
I did not know that.
He wasn't really big on marriage, though, as he once famously said, quote, "Instead of getting married again, I'm going to find a woman I don't like and just give her a house." And people say love is dead, Rebekah.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind bumping into him. Like,
right? Also, call me, Rod. You'd hate me.
Buy me a house, shut me up. I'll never bother you.
I can be quiet as a mouse. So Rod's first actual marriage, though, is to Alana Stewart. And Alana was a model. Duh, that makes perfect sense, right? She had been married to George Hamilton before that. Do you know George Hamilton? Really tan, has like the Cindy Crawford mole, old-time actor. He always gives me, who is the actor married to Annette Bening? He always gives me those vibes, like womanizer, big into the ladies. Annette Bening and, you know who I'm talking about.
It's not Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. Good job. Gives me kind of those vibes.
Gotcha.
Whatever
Kind of
reason.
like classic Hollywood. Yeah, I'm getting what.
Douchebag?
Maybe. What would they have called him in that era? Something else.
Yeah.
Player? I don't know.
Okay, let's call him a player. So she was married to George Hamilton before. They had a son named Ashley, and you probably have heard of Ashley Hamilton. He's been in things through the years. He's very good looking, but he's kind of been in and out of trouble as well. And that couple divorces, and then in 1979, she meets and marries Rod Stewart. They stay married for just 5 years, but they have 2 kids. Kimberly, the socialite who wasn't on The Simple Life, but Paris was really gunning for her. And Sean, who was born on September 1st, 1980, making him whatever zodiac sign Googles themselves, because I'm absolutely positive he's going to find the show later. So hi, Sean. I don't know that to be exactly true, but
Love you, mean it.
He's got Google Alert set up. I promise you that. So when the couple divorces, Alana keeps the Stewart name and probably the house that came with it because that's what happens.
She's no dummy. Yeah.
His divorces. Yeah. Side note, do you remember who Kimberly Stewart had a son with or a daughter with? It was big news because they were very unlike. No. It's an actor, a very famous actor. His first name is Benicio.
Oh, Del Toro? No,
Yes.
I do not remember that happening. Gosh,
Yeah.
must be a gorgeous kid.
Gorgeous kid. I assume I actually have not seen pictures. I was nodding no and acting like I knew what I was talking about. I was doing
Erica
Jane, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but they weren't a couple. They just
Had a
bumped
child.
uglies sometimes.
Okay.
And so then, they had a baby. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to imagine them together. Honestly, I wouldn't place them, but that's so interesting.
It is,
Share
right?
a child. Okay.
They share a child together. But also, another side note, Alana and George Hamilton had a talk show in the 90s called George and Alana that I watched for some reason. Wait,
at the time you watched?
Oh, at the time, yes.
Alana
As
and
a
George?
child, I watched a previously divorced couple do a talk show in my teens.
Of course you did. What was it about? Like lifestyles, just like this and that?
Yeah, it was. I don't remember a lot about it. I think they just had celebrity guests. It was just one of those Regis and Kathy Lee kind of.
Okay.
Notice I didn't say Kelly Ripa there, but Regis and Kathy Lee kind of things. The shade. So in 2015, though, the couple even had, or the ex-couple really, even had a series called The Stewarts and Hamiltons with George, Alana, Ashley, and Kimberly. And Sean was sometimes on it, but we'll get into that more later. It was on E!
Okay.
One season. No one really cared about the Stewarts or Hamilton. I shouldn't say no one cared about them. Nobody tuned in for them
Okay, that's more accurate.
because they didn't care about them. Just kidding. Just kidding. So in the early 2000s, though, Sean is this big guy on the Hollywood party scene. He did it all. He did Nobu, The Ivy, and whatever else the early 2000s equivalent of Sir and Pump was. Sean was known to be a bit of a bad boy, which is like my least favorite thing to call somebody. Don't worry. According to an interview I heard with him on Brandi Glanville's Unfiltered podcast from 2014, don't tell us, we don't do our research. He describes himself, though, as an amazing person. Too generous, and is always a nice guy.
So, oh my gosh, that's like his answer to, what's your biggest flaw in a job interview? And he's like, I'm too generous. I work too hard.
But totally not like, hey, how would you describe yourself? Just randomly would be like, I'm just too generous. And I'm like,
I'm an amazing person.
Yeah.
Like, is what comes to mind off the top. Like,
yeah, off the top of my head. I never try to
gross.
play down anything. It's always like, let me tell you everything about myself, and I'm going to make myself sound even better. But back in 2002, Sean is 22 years old, and he has his first arrest, at least that I could find. So to be honest, this was really, I was telling Rebekah, it was a really hard story to research because it seems like either the internet just scrubbed things or nobody cared. I don't know which one it was, to be totally honest. In 2002, he pleads no contest to felony assault after he attacks a man by the name of Jason Rogland, who I think may have been a surfer. I saw something about him being a surfer outside of Nobu in Hollywood.
oh, so LA.
Apparently, former Superman actor Dean Cain was there and actually broke the fight up. All of this sounds very...
And more LA. Like,
Right? I know. When you
Jeez,
said
broken
that, I
up
was
by
like...
Superman.
So he was sentenced to 90 days in county jail and was also ordered to pay a $5,600 fine to the victim, as well as participate in both anger management and drug rehab programs. He also pleaded guilty to possession of a controlled substance in another case around the same time. That's why I don't know if that was actually the first arrest.
Okay.
I'm thinking this one came after the drug possession one. But anyway, not a pretty serious sentence, but more than I would have thought for him at
Absolutely.
that time, right? So we don't hear a lot from Sean during the next few years, but then that changes when a show debuts. Again, no one asked for. The show is Sons of Hollywood, as I mentioned before, and it's this legendary show that really lives forever, but not on the internet because, again, I could barely find clips. Rebekah, do you know what channel Sons of Hollywood would have been on?
I mean, E would be my first guess, but it feels
Good guess.
wrong because it's too obvious. So if not E, then Life? No. I don't know.
It would be
A and E?
A&E.
That makes no sense because there's some fine programming on A&E, and wow, that artwork.
I know, the artwork is good. Had a quick change on there.
Wait, remind me the year?
This was in 2007.
Wow, looks
Right?
even older than that.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, didn't see A&E coming. Continue.
No. So we have shows now like 60 Days In the first 48, but back in 2007, it's not known as a TV station for any celebrity children's brushes with reality TV, right?
No.
It seems like the weirdest match. In fact, it's such a weird match. Whenever I actually started writing this, I got it confused with AMC because I was like, oh, that's Breaking Bad and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how did that happen? But they both feel just about as out of left field, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Isn't A&E where Inside the Actors Studio was with James Lipton?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think of like highbrow, kind of like artsy cultural things. Weird.
well, but then they had Sons of Hollywood, so street cred.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the show really focuses on Sean and Randy. They grew up as childhood friends, and they're trying to find their way in Hollywood with their childhood friend, David Weintraub, this guy, helping them seal their deals. The only real proof I found that any of the deals ever happened was that Sean actually sang the theme song for the show. And his dad is very talented. Makes sense that, he could be talented. And Rebekah, I'd like to play a small clip for you. It's actually going to be a little clip from the show, so it's a little bit longer. We'll see how I edit this in. But the song he sings is on at the end. So please hold on to your butts, and I will send you this now.
I'm so excited.
I'm David Weintraub. I'm a talent agent here in Los Angeles. Two of my best friends also happen to be two of my clients. Randy Spelling is an actor and the son of super producer Aaron Spelling. And Sean Stewart is the son of rock and roll legend Rod Stewart, who also happens to be an up-and-coming singer.
This is LA. We all grew up here. We're California boys, and California and the lifestyle that we lead, it's just a little different.
This is the life of the in crowd. Born in the fame and Hollywood. Great connections with no direction, still misunderstood. Bodies and parties and everyone watching me. Can't let it get to me. Living the life of the in crowd.
So it feels like the poor man's reality version of Entourage, kind of.
That's actually how it was billed to be, like a real life Entourage.
Yeah, but with none of the like clever dialogue.
Turtle is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, like not compelling characters. I mean, but yeah, like these wannabe Hollywood guys who are connected but not. And I don't know. First impression that there's probably not one of them I like.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually right. I feel like Randy Spelling has actually come a long way, and I feel like he's matured, and he actually wasn't terrible. I don't remember a lot of that show, but I don't remember hating him.
Okay.
We would never be friends, but I wasn't like actively like, I hope you never have a career, or anything like that. I don't want to see you on my TV. It was just, he just was whatever. I hate to say that song was very catchy for me. And it feels very early 2000s, very Good Charlotte, that kind of.
Yes. I mean, it feels so reminiscent of that time. And it sounds just kind of like a remixed version of a song we've already heard.
Oh, for sure.
But just like the literal way that they describe the show as the lyrics of the song is so embarrassing.
It gives me total cringe. So would it be surprising, based on those lyrics, that it actually ended up being on the Bratz motion picture soundtrack?
No.
Isn't that perfect?
It's like exactly right. Yeah.
I was like, wow, nailed it.
Good for him. I bet he got a nice paycheck for that. Jeez.
I know. Bratz of all I'm like, the team?
Bratz.
Yeah.
That's another very specific time and place of the world. Like I remember that.
It is. Yeah. Not it was the best of times, but it was actually the worst of times.
Absolutely.
So the show, though, only really lasts for one season and 13 episodes. They actually play double episodes every week. I think even A&E was like, let's just get this over with. We've paid for this. Let's get it done. So some of the titles included Moms of Hollywood, The Odd Squad, and SWAT, Spelling, Weintraub, and Trouble. I know.
Yeah.
Please roll your eyes.
Yeah, it's like, stop trying to make that happen.
Exactly. Oh, speaking of which, I did watch Mean Girls with my daughter over the weekend, and it's the best thing in the entire world. She doesn't.
Wait, had you
Yes.
not seen it?
Oh, I love Mean Girls. I
Oh,
quote it
okay,
all the
but it
time.
was your first time watching it with her.
Yeah, and so
That's
it was
so special.
It was right. It was like that was the highlight of my week. It was just such a fun thing.
For sure.
We just died laughing, and she's like, "You quote this all the time." I'm like, I know, right?
That is so sweet. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was a good moment. Okay, so back to the show. So while I could only find small clips from this show, from what I remember, Sean's really all over the place. He's unfocused. He takes things too far. And something he actually says later on this podcast, the Spidey cast, which I also had to listen to with Heidi and Spencer and his crystals. He says, I took it way too far back then. He also said it was never on the right network. I would agree with him. It
Yeah, not a fit.
could have done better on E, something like that, but it was
MTV.
never. Yeah, it was never going to be a big show. It just really wasn't. Randy on the show, like I was saying, is more laid back and well-mannered. Notably, during this season, Randy's dad, Aaron, passes away, and that was a huge deal in Hollywood. The Tori Spelling saga, all of that, we all kind of knew about it. And while I couldn't find the episodes online, unless I wanted to get a virus, I love you all, but I was not going to do that. Not for this. So whether good or bad, Sean now has a little bit of notoriety aside from being his father's son. So he's a Hollywood bad boy. He has his own show on a respected channel, A&E, and he's seemingly involved in a lot of business ventures. This is always my favorite when we get to talk about reality stars adventures. If you had to take some guesses on some things you think he'd be involved in, what would you you say?
Energy drink.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Like men's jewelry.
Ooh.
Like, I feel like one of those dudes is wearing a bracelet for sure.
Yeah, somebody's wearing a cuff.
Yeah. I don't know. What did he do?
So one of them was he said that he was involved in bars and restaurants, clothing lines, and even a water brand called 138 Water. Have you heard of 138 Water?
No. I was, a devoted black water drinker.
Oh, yeah, of course. The Manzo brothers. So 138 Water, if you don't mind if I educate you,
Please.
it stands for one meaning, 3 words, 8 letters.
What?
I love you.
Stop.
Because not only do you need hydration from your water, but I sort of want to think that my water's thinking of me when I'm not around.
Me and my water, we're exclusive. Yeah, I didn't see
I bet
that
he
coming.
cheats on his water.
Okay, water.
138.
It just takes too much explanation. Not good.
If my husband told me that, I'd be out of here before sundown.
Absolutely. Taking the house, taking
There
the
you
kids.
go.
Goodbye.
So back to Sean, though. In April of 2007, the same year that Sons of Hollywood actually comes on and is also canceled, he is accused yet again of assault.
Jeez.
This story goes that Sean and 2 of his friends are headed to this house party in Hollywood. And so when they get there, they're told, yeah, you're not allowed in. And so Sean gets really mad. And when partygoers see him getting mad, they actually start making fun of him, which I'm sure did not help how angry he was.
Of course.
So he gets into a full tizzy and loses it. This is all allegedly. There's 2 different sides of this story. This is one that was told. And so around 4 a.m. this morning, allegedly, Sean and his 2 friends began throwing things at this Ford F-150. I believe it was parked there, but I had a hard time kind of following the story. Witnesses said they saw them throwing rocks, bricks,
Yikes.
a mailbox, and
boy.
even a trash can at this truck. So allegedly, again, they then open the car or the truck door and start hitting the passengers, which are Tobias and Erica Stein, which is a married couple.
4 a.m?
4 a.m. I don't know if they were trying to leave and then that's where
okay.
it took place. I'm telling you, I'll have my sources in the notes if you guys want to.
Suspiciously little information.
Please.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Steins file a lawsuit for unspecified damages, claiming that Sean was, quote, swinging his arms, punching, throwing bricks and other items, end quote, at them. So Tabala says that his wife goes to Cedars-Sinai to be treated for lacerations on her legs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they also said in court documents, I'm going to read this quote. It's just, there's a lot of words in there. They had dealt with, quote, shock, horror, fright, worry, grief, shame, embarrassment, anger, chagrin, and nausea.
They opened a thesaurus and they were like, we felt scared. How many ways can we say that to get more money?
When we get to chagrin, I'm like, okay, congratulations, you went to college.
They were like, wait, his dad is who? Find more words.
Wow, that's kind of part of it. Yeah. So on June 12th, 2007, 2 months after this incident, he's arrested for this and charged with 4 felonies, including assault with a deadly weapon and vandalism. He is released on $60,000 bond because at this point, people know who he is. So at his first court date, his attorney named Dana Cole enters a plea of not guilty for all of the charges. Tabalis and Erica also filed and were granted a protective order against Sean. But Sean seems to think that this is all because his dad is Rod Stewart. So here's a quote from his attorney that's released to TMZ the day after his arrest. He said, quote, "We have conducted an extensive investigation since these allegations were first raised. We have interviewed numerous witnesses who were at the party on the night of the incident. Our investigation has revealed that what occurred on the night of the incident is much different than what the complaining witness has alleged. We will share our investigation with the prosecution at the appropriate time. Our investigation has showed that the alleged victim only named Sean Stewart as a suspect after hearing that Mr. Stewart was at the party that night and that the alleged victim had financial motive to make these allegations against Mr. Stewart. Our investigation has also revealed that any crimes which may have been committed that night were in fact committed by the person who claims to be the victim." So total plot twist.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
beyond saying that Sean didn't do it, they're saying these people are the ones that actually did this. Crazier things have happened. I'm not saying that's what happened at all, but you can understand how that could be his defense, really.
Yeah.
And it should be noted, though, that the couple also filed a civil lawsuit against Sean. So a Los Angeles judge, Judge Title, eventually ruled that there was sufficient evidence to proceed, and a court hearing was scheduled for October 3rd that year. According to an article in REUTERS, at the hearing, 2 witnesses said that other people in the confrontation were ones that threw things at the truck, and it wasn't Sean.
Okay.
A Superior Court judge later ordered that they reached an out-of-court settlement, of course, which is kind of crazy, though, because these were felonies that could have sent him to prison for years.
Right.
And he has a history of assault, really. I mean, he already has a history of violence. But wait, there's more. During all of this going on, Sean was accused of assault yet again. In August of 2007, this was before, Sean is the subject of another lawsuit of an altercation that occurred in January of the year before, 2006, at a nightclub in Hollywood. So a man by the name of Daniel Rafawa claims that both Sean and his bodyguard began to beat him up after Daniel accidentally bumped into Sean. According to Daniel, he suffered a broken nose, and a few months later, they reached a settlement, and the whole case was dismissed. Okay. It's worth noting that the words Daniel used in regards to his altercation with Sean and his bodyguard were that he was, quote, attacked, assaulted, battered, punched, beat, hit, struck, tortured, and imprisoned.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a lot of wow. And it's shocking that it got, I mean, people have their reasons for dropping charges and doing all that, but once we get to imprisoned, I'm thinking, what the heck happened? Oh, so anyway, but back to reality, literally. In 2008, David, his friend from Sons of Hollywood, this one, yep, he was actually the casting director and one of the producers on Celebrity Rehab.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So David ends up asking Sean if he wants to come on the cast. And at this point, Sean was actually sober for a few years.
Okay.
But he still decided to join the second season to, quote, help others and deal with some other issues in my life that I have to deal with. So,
yeah,
good reason. So season 2 of Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew really was particularly dark. The season included Gary Busey, Rodney King, and Tawny Katan.
Oh my gosh, I never saw that.
Yeah, as of today, 4 of the 9 residents of that season have passed away.
Oh man.
I remember watching it, and the Rodney King part, it was so tough to watch. And just you learned a lot about him because you always hear of him, but you don't really know him.
Have you ever had that moment when you're leaving the house and you wonder, did I lock the door? Or worse yet, you start spiraling and you imagine all the what ifs. I used to feel that way all the time, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I heard about a break-in just a few blocks away that I realized I needed to really step up my home security game. And now I can spiral about the what ifs on things that don't matter, like reality stars, instead of the what ifs of home security. We've had SimpliSafe protecting our house for the last few years now, and it's a total game changer. With SimpliSafe's Fast Protect monitoring, I know within 5 seconds if something's actually up, and the lifeguards can actually speak to intruders to stop them. That's faster than a reality TV star can throw a drink. One of the things I really love the most is you're not locked into some over-the-top 90-day fiancé level contract drama. SimpliSafe is actually affordable as well, less than $1 a day with no hidden fees, so it's easy to love. It's no wonder they've been named Best Home Security Systems by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Whether you want to install it yourself, it really takes less than an hour, or have a professional handle it, SimpliSafe is as easy as flipping channels between Chimp Crazy and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So why wait for the drama to happen? Get SimpliSafe and know your home is covered just like I did. Protect your home with 50% off a new SimpliSafe system, plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/criminality. That's simplysafe.com/criminality. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Him. And if you get a chance, that might be...
I would be
a
so
good one
interested to watch that. I
Yeah.
had no idea he was ever on that. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, hey, Rebekah, would you like to take a little break from all this sad stuff so I can tell you a story about an appearance that Sean Stewart had that I had no idea he was on?
Yes, please.
Perfect. Okay. So in 2009, Sean was being sued on the Judge Jeanine Pirro show for for training sessions he had not paid for. So according to this trainer, a guy by the name of Xavier, he first meets Kimberly, Sean's sister, and starts training her at their house. I don't know if Sean was living there. I don't know that situation exactly. Okay. Then he started training Sean 4 times a week. Sean said at the time that he was DJing. I know that's going to be surprising to hear. So back to the story. He says in this story, his dad was supposed to pay his trainer, but he hadn't sent the checks. But whatever he actually did pay, so whatever Rod Stewart did pay, Sean had to pay him back. He said, my dad is very, very cheap, which is a fun thing to hear about Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
Well,
Also,
I think he's got a lot of mortgages.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a lot of baby mamas to support.
Lots of mortgages. Maybe. He also talked about his company that was paying for it, but it sounded like it was his agents that were paying for it, but it was basically like money managers, somebody who keeps track of his money and like. Also,
how old is this kid right now? Like, why should his dad
He's
be
in
paying
his
for his
30s.
training? And good, shut up about your dad being cheap.
He has a lot of jobs, though, Rebekah.
Well, yeah. So pay for your own
water
training.
Doesn't pay for itself.
Exactly.
He's very thirsty when he's training. So
I love that.
I love the idea of Rod Stewart writing him him writing his dad IOUs for these training sessions.
Gosh.
So he was sued for $4,200, but ultimately had to pay $3,500 because the judge was like, hey, maybe you should have stopped training him when he stopped paying you. So some of this is on you, right? I will say in this judge thing, this is the most likable I've seen him. He actually seemed somewhat decent. I don't know why. It could have been a fluke. He might have been not very well hydrated that day. I don't know. But I was like, okay, I can see a little bit of charm here that
Reasonable.
I haven't seen before. Yeah.
Okay.
But then, Rebekah, in 2013, something happened.
Uh-oh.
Sean was linked with a tinsel-haired hotel heiress and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star that's not any of the Hiltons. It was Adrienne Maloof.
Sorry for the audible silence. I'm like falling off my chair. I forgot about this.
Yeah, this was a good one.
I forgot about this.
Was a good one. But did you forget about Adrienne's tinsel hair? Because I've never forgotten it.
No, never forget. This was oh my gosh. What a beautiful golden nugget in this story. Please tell me everything because I don't know how that all came to be.
Okay. Ugh. So Adrienne and her husband, Dr. Paul Nassif, had recently separated, and this is me listening to this interview with Brandi Glanville. Okay. According to Sean, he and Adrienne meet through mutual friends, and they spoke about business. Could that mean 138 Water? Do you think Adrienne's an investor?
It's possible. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I see her more getting excited about jewelry though, being like, have you ever considered bracelets?
Yes. What are your feelings on cuffs? So they meet through mutual friends, discuss business, and they sort of fall into this relationship, according to Sean. They dated 2 months before calling it quits, leaving the rest of us to wonder why. How? Not why they broke up, just why. Why did this happen? So, but the first words that Sean says on Brandi's podcast were something to the effect of, I just want to put it out there. Adrienne never broke my heart. We were not in love. I've only loved one person. Yeah, he was very quick on this. And Brandi said, oh, was that one person the girl I saw you with at dinner? He said, no, that was my ex-fiance. That was a different type of love. We have to assume that's a 138 Water kind of love, I guess.
Yeah. You know the type.
The ex-fiance and be like, no, that's not the girl I loved actually either.
Oh my gosh, this guy.
Yeah. So, but that was his first thing is like, I want to clear something up. She didn't break my heart. Like, okay, bud, nobody.
Adrienne put that story out that it was that way?
So apparently, yeah, there was stories out there. And then the two of them kind of discussed. Brandi claimed that Adrienne had put stories out about her. And then they kind of said that she did. All that's very alleged. And, you know, Adrienne has more money than everyone. So I want to be very careful how I say that. So it was all him saying that.
Okay.
But really, ever since then, things are kind of quiet in the world of Sean Stewart. That was until 2020. Rebekah, I'm not even sure if you remember hearing about this because it was 2020.
Yeah, no.
And before the world was on fire. But back in January of 2020, Sean, his father Rod, and a lot of the Stewart family is celebrating New Year's Eve at a hotel in Florida. Any idea what city this hotel would have been in?
Miami?
Try one more time.
West Palm Beach. Palm Beach.
You got it.
Palm Beach. The right Palm Beach.
Yes, the right Palm Beach. Home of the arrest of Tinsley Mortimer, the Countess Luann de Lesseps, and Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
He's in there too. So the story goes, a security guard by the name of Jesse Dixon was working at a private event near a children's area, like at this hotel, when he notices a group trying to get into this area. Jesse tells the police that this group is really loud and they refuse to leave. And he says that Sean is one of the people there. He gets in the guy's face, Jesse's face, gets nose to nose with them. And he said then Jesse, places his right hand on Sean's chest and tells him to back up. That's when Sean shoves him, and then 74-year-old Daddy Rod gets into it and punches Jesse in the left rib cage, which I'm assuming this was on tape because I can't even imagine you can feel him punch you in the ribs. Like, I feel like that's an after.
He's forever
He's spicy. He's spicy. I'll give it to him. Thanks to the cameras at the hotel, though, the evidence shows that Rod and Sean are really the primary aggressors in this whole thing. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, Rod would go on to speak to officers and apologize, saying the issue came from Jesse being argumentative, which led them to being agitated. Don't you hate when people argue with you and you're agitated and you can't control what you do next?
Yeah, I'm also starting to see a little bit of a pattern that maybe Sean's problems started with his dad.
Maybe. Rebekah, they could use
So
you.
weird.
Yes. You should have been his brief stepmom. So Jesse ends up signing an affidavit saying he wants to press charges against the father-son duo. But on January 29th, prosecutors and defense attorneys announced that they wouldn't be going to trial for this altercation. Although terms of this were not released, I guess this is the life. This is the life of the in crowd, Rebekah. So not sure how many The Hills fans we have, but recently Sean Stewart actually appeared on The Hills as a love interest of sorts for Audrina. Ding, ding, ding. That's our third clue. He, of course, takes to the Spidey podcast to talk about his time on the show. And the first words are out of his mouth on this show were, the cast was great, but it feels fake. Which, yes, we all know The Hills is pretty fake, right? Is this news to anyone but Sean Stewart?
Yeah.
Similar to his time on Brandy's podcast regarding Adrian, he comes into this scene with Audrina. What he says it's a total setup, and he was a gentleman with flowers, and immediately says she's a great girl and there was no interest, and quote, I just want to clear that up. So once again, he's saying, I was not hurt here. This was not me. This was, on her. So he talks about on this podcast saying, like, the Daily Mail says I'm in love with her. And he said, no, it's for the show. And he said, quote, I was just being myself and being a wonderful human being with a kind heart, end quote.
Oh my gosh, this guy.
Yeah. I actually kind of want him to write my headstone because I feel like I will seem like a much better person than I am.
No, I'm going to do that for you.
Thank
and
you.
He is, maybe the least self-aware person, maybe?
I would totally agree. Oh, if you could write, like, she survived her douchebag phase, that would be helpful.
Oh, yeah. It's already been written. What are we talking about?
There you go. So here's a few of my favorite quotes from this interview. So you guys do not have to listen to it. He said,
thanks.
I bring so much to the table. Okay. Next one is
water for everyone.
Yeah. Audrina thought I was just there for her. Honey, I was not on the show just for you. Honey, they wanted me to show up more. So, honey, get in line, because he was not having it. He also said, quote, people DM'd me saying, she's lucky to be in your presence. I would like receipts.
I was just going to say, show us, please.
Please. So the next one is, the last quote on this is, quote, I've never needed fame because I was born into it. My dad was the biggest singer of all time. I don't know. He's up there, but.
Oh, for sure. Household name.
But biggest, come on.
All time.
I don't care about being famous. I am already, end quote. He says on the Spidey podcast. Right. Okay.
Clinging.
So while he's there, this was taped in June, so just 2 months ago, he talks about his clothing line. It's called Dirty Weekend. It's been around for a while. He's actually had it for several years, but he said on the show he just bought or rebought the domain name when it was coming out, hoping for a launch of September, which is next month. Mm-hmm. I have been to the website and it does not exist. It is not going on. There's nothing there. The Instagram I saw had photos from 2016.
Cool.
Last in 2016, including one of him pouring what I can only assume is 138 water over a model's bubbies, like in her dirty. It was like for 2016. We still weren't doing that in 2016.
Absolutely not. This guy.
I'm almost done. Rebekah, ready?
Mm-hmm.
In this interview, he says that he wants to keep the clothing line, small, like only sell a few things. Smart, right? Like
curated. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He didn't use that word, neither did I, but you're right with that one. And so he's only selling 3 designs for women, 3 designs for men. Mm-hmm. For the men, he's doing t-shirts, hoodies, and beanies. Okay. And for the women, I'd actually like you to guess what 3 items he thinks women want with Dirty Weekend written on them. This is not 2004. This is not Christina Aguilera's Dirty.
Tank tops, underwear.
Okay.
And I can't imagine him wanting anything else on a woman. Baseball cap.
Okay.
Like a mesh trucker hat.
Ooh. That he really is stuck in that time. I think that you could be right. So you're very close and at least right on one of them. Crop tops.
Okay.
Cool shorts with the word Dirty Weekend on the back.
On the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool shorts was what the designer said. Cool shorts.
Okay.
And panties because, quote, the price margin on panties is insane.
I hate that he used the word panties.
Me too.
Okay, because I said underwear and he could have as well.
Panties.
So I was right on one.
You were. And you were really right on the tank top, like crop top.
Yeah, because the tank top would be short for sure.
I don't necessarily think he knows the difference.
Right.
Lastly, though, Sean said his true dream, one that he's had for years, and this is in the year 2021, this was 2 months ago, is to open a bar called Hot Legs based on women's legs. And it would be like Hooters, but for the bottom part for the masses.
He should talk to another housewife to invest. Aviva Drescher.
That's actually great.
I see a whole marketing angle here.
There you go.
And the drinks could come in like prosthetic. Sorry.
I love it.
This guy.
Yeah.
I don't like him. I know we haven't gotten to the part where we're talking about our feelings yet, but
well,
okay.
we really are. We're here now. That was how I was closing it. I didn't think I could top Hot Legs, so I thought I would end it there.
Like, that's not even, it's not clever. It's not cool. It's not different. It's not interesting. It's like Hooters, but for the bottom half. Ew.
For the masses.
For the masses. I'm like processing it all. I don't like him. I don't like him.
I mean, I don't think you're alone there. It was, this was definitely a difficult one to research because not likable. Like Mike Sorrentino doing that one. I love that he had a redemption story.
He's likable too. Like he has like some like personality.
There's some charm there.
Yes, totally. This guy's like tepid. He's like,
no.
He just reeks of a kid in Hollywood who was clinging to fame, a son of Hollywood. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like on a day I'm feeling more generous, I could be like, well, it's probably hard to grow up in the shadow of a famous father, and it's probably hard to raise kids in Hollywood with all the money in the world. Like, how do you even do that?
Right.
But they all so many of them seem to end up like this guy, and it's just unbecoming and it's unattractive, and I don't get it.
No, and it seems very much to me like he is, if you were to write out a description of a son of Hollywood, you could write this story, right?
The character type. He's an archetype.
Absolutely. There's not a lot of adjustments I would make. I mean, I would maybe change Hot Legs to something else just to make it seem like he's, more witty. Oh, he actually thinks he's very funny. That's another thing. Like, I didn't write that quote down, but it was a lot. I mean, Audrina was lucky to be in his presence.
Right.
So,
he sounds like someone who's like, throwing the equivalent of tantrums still. Like when he doesn't get what he wants, throwing bricks, allegedly.
Yeah.
Like fighting, having his security fight people on his behalf. It just sounds like a grown-up toddler.
Yeah, it really does. But the most confusing thing to me is what in the world was Adrienne thinking? She is this like insanely great, businesswoman. She has small children. That's where I kind of lost it, where I'm like, you have little kids, and this guy, like, at this point has already been involved in assault charges. And I don't know. I mean, it was very brief, and I think it was kind of, I'm sure that was a hectic time for her and all that.
Hectic time. I mean, look, I don't remember how old she would have been at that time, but like it's probably felt good for her ego for like a younger guy to be into her. I don't know. I'm trying to think about this. Like, it was she could have done better. But
20-something years younger than him. Yeah. Also, she might have had a crush on Rod Stewart and was like, this is how you get in the family.
Yeah, maybe. And like, Rod Stewart is not forever young, but his son is forever younger.
Yeah. So far, the only title I've come up for this episode is "Have I Told You Lately That I Punched You?" because it felt like that.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
But yeah, this was an interesting one. I'm very excited for your next one to get us out of. I would like to leave my douche phase. I have to be honest.
Well, I think it's interesting that you said he has no Wikipedia.
Yeah, none.
And I think that there's little information about all these things is suspicious. Like, I wonder if he's just famous enough that we know him and he's been on TV, but not so famous that you couldn't scrub the internet entirely of everything. Like, Kim Kardashian has the best PR team around, but you can still dig up all this crap. Like,
right.
He's right in that middle zone, that sweet spot maybe, where he could have paid someone to like...
Oh, yeah.
adjust
not that many people are going to be searching for it.
Exactly. So that could have been done. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Did he work on anger management?
He did do anger management years ago whenever
At
Dean
Celebrity
Cain
Rehab?
fought up that or broke up that fight. He did have to go to anger management. So I want to say that during the Judge Jeanine thing, I could see what people liked about him. I could see he seemed very nice and friendly and affable and all the opposite of all the adjectives that one couple gave about him. But that was the only case I saw that in. The interviews on the podcast were really hard to sit through. Like, it just made me very uncomfortable. But yeah, I think this is more than you ever needed to know.
For sure. I kind of want the clip was enough actually of Sons of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It is the poor man's Entourage. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for enduring those interviews for the sake of the show, Melissa.
Yeah. I really considered walking into traffic in the middle of listening to one of them. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is terrible.
Do you think it's possible for, the greatest singers of all time, I'm being facetious, but like for these massive celebrities to have kids that turn out normal? Do you think we just don't hear about those kids? Are those
Probably, yeah.
There are probably some families with, I like to think there are some where there's just like, they do have a lot of money, but somehow they've just managed to come out okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, at some point, Sean Stewart had a lemonade stand. He was such a good entrepreneur. He had a lemonade stand in front of his house where the Hollywood tours would come by, and he'd make $1,000 to $2,000 a day. You can't get
real?
more relatable than that. It's for real. I mean, that's what he said. I don't know.
When he was a kid?
When he was a kid, he made $1,000 to $2,000 a day, and he started selling his dad's autograph. But
so he was always like a little hustler. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
entrepreneur, that was his word.
Yeah, that was his word. That's so interesting because I feel like, missed opportunity for Rod and the mom to be like, okay, let's donate half of this to charity.
Let me add that. He did, of course, say in one interview that he helps with homeless outreach. I don't know if that was part of community service or what, but he said that he did. But really, I don't know. Yeah.
Court-mandated homeless outreach.
That's from The Office, right? Whenever he's like, but did the judge make you? Or, I don't need a court order to clean up my community gym. Something like that. So I don't know if that was why or if he did and we just don't see that part of him.
I think he'd mention it, but it seems like he would.
He did mention it. I just don't know the motivation behind it. And so he talked about his donating his time a lot. So, that's there. Do with that what you want. But now you have a full picture of him.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm just noticing the woman in the upper left corner of the image for the show.
You mean Hot Legs?
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's the Hot Legs foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm,
It's not a pool boy, it's a pool lady.
Yep.
And she's, it says everything you need to know about this whole show.
For the masses.
All we see is her backside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, her legs are the prominent. They're very elongated. We don't see her face because why would she need a face?
She's faceless. She's every woman.
It's the hot legs. It's the underwear. It's the future dirty weekend.
It's Randy Spelling's tribal tattoo.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah, it is.
Poor Randy Spelling. Wow. Who made him do that?
So good.
Yeah.
Good job. That was fun. That was really fun.
Good. I'm glad because it's been a train wreck the whole week leading up to this. So, Rebekah, what are you watching this week?
Okay, so I tuned into something that I think we've discussed that I think you watched a while back. So I finally got around to it. So Netflix.
Okay.
Sequel, I guess you might say. Couples.
Oh, is this the follow-up Love is Blind thing?
Yes. I finally was curious enough to put it on and see what was going on. I think people loved it from what I saw. Mm-hmm. I was so underwhelmed and just really unimpressed. And I thought the Janina Damien story looked very manufactured.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that was true, that he brought this girl.
No.
If it is, they deserve each other. But I just think the whole thing looked very set up. And then Jessica with the gift.
Yeah. And Mark not even showing up.
Mark not even showing up. Yeah, I was very disappointed. But what surprised me, I'll tell you what was the most interesting thing, is that my 16-year-old son was just passing through my room. I was watching it on my computer in my room while I was cleaning or something. And he was like, is this Love is Blind? Is this a new one? And I was like, it's like after the altar followed, did you watch Love is Blind? And he's like, yeah. And he like left and like fully went to watch it. I was just like, I knew my daughter watched it, but I was like, okay, like
We could have all watched this together.
yeah, family programming. Who knew? But yeah. So I watched that. So I know it's not a fun answer at all. It's not.
No,
new,
it's all right.
But everything else I watched was for my next episode, so I can't really say.
Yeah.
How about you? Anything new or good?
So it's not new. It's something that I've been meaning to watch for a while, and it's multiple seasons. So I've just been meaning to watch the last season. So my clues are, I'll probably give you 4 if you don't get it on the third. Kim,
Okay.
Jimmy. It started on AMC, but you can watch it on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
Kim
Heroin. No, meth,
Oh.
meth.
Breaking Bad.
But I am watching that now. But
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. I'm watching the last season. So I think maybe since we last recorded, Bob Odenkirk had a heart attack. And so that put it in my head that I wanted to finally watch this season.
Yeah.
Man, it's so good. Did you ever watch any of the Better Call Saul?
No.
Did you watch Breaking Bad though, right?
I never finished. I tapped out. I was so affected by it. I
Okay,
can watch some gnarly stuff, Melissa. There's something about dramatized drug use that just, and I don't know why. I like the guy fell through the tub in whatever episode that was early on.
First episode. Oh,
No.
second episode. I think he died first episode or something.
Okay, I think I hung on a little longer than that, but it was shortly after that. I just tapped out. My husband continued and loved it, and I just couldn't.
Yeah. No, I get that. There's different things. Whenever kids are affected on a show, it's just a no-go for me. I can't do it. So I get there's different things. But I will say, if you are a Breaking Bad fan and you started Better Call Saul like me and you just kind of weren't sure, because at first it was very slow moving. It is so great as far as character development. His girlfriend on the show is such a pivotal person in his life that you don't realize, and her changes in the show. I'm just like blown away with how they've been able to do it. So
Can you watch Better Call Saul without having finished Breaking Bad, or that doesn't make sense?
I think you could. I mean, you're really just watching a prequel, so you could maybe get into it. But yeah, you're seeing somebody who's got into law for the right reasons, and the reasons that they kind of fall away and start doing different things, and just kind of the journey somebody's life takes, just at different moments when you can go right and then you go left, and what that kind of does to a person and what it does to the people around him. I'm fascinated by it. So now I'm on a Breaking Bad rewatch. I love that show. The writing is so good on that show. It's intense, but it's probably my favorite drama for sure, of all time.
That makes me want to go back and try again, because I think my husband calls it like his top 3 shows ever. And he's like kind of, I don't know. He's like critical. So I know it's good. It's been called like one of the greatest shows ever. Yeah. I know.
It's hard though. I mean, there is a scene where they're in this drug house to get somebody out, and there's a kid there. And I fast forward that whole scene. I just can't watch it. It just upsets me too much with the kid. So there's some things that I know that like I just don't want to sit through, and I'm probably going to miss something, but I'll be fine.
That's okay. Yeah, exactly. Know thyself, as I like to say. All right, that's cool. And then, of course, we had the White Lotus finale, which was our show last episode. And we talked about it on Instagram and social media with our listeners a little bit, but like that was a great ride. Did not love the ending personally.
Didn't you feel like you were missing something because other people seemed to love it? And I was like, what am I
Yes,
not
I feel like the
here?
only person who didn't love the ending. And I think it's because I expected so much more, and I predicted the ending, and I'm never good at that. So I'm like, oh, Armand is going to die. And I really felt like Shane was going to be the killer.
Right.
And I thought, and I maintain that I think it would be a great plot twist if he had somehow thrown his wife under the bus for it. Like, and that's why she wasn't at the airport.
I like
because
that.
somehow he pins it on her, and like that would to me like epitomize just how awful he is.
Right.
And that like her instincts were right. But maybe that was too far fetched.
I think that's what it felt like. I saw somebody on Twitter write that the like HBO shows The Undoing was the Mayor of Easttown best ending, then The Undoing, which was a terrible ending, and then White Lotus. It just, I think there was so much buildup, and it could have done more, but I feel like
agree.
3 more episodes, you would have just been blown out of the water. But now it's hard for me. I loved the show, but now I'm like, the ending was terrible. That's like, what's that show? Bloodlines. I loved Bloodlines on Netflix.
I never watched.
The first 2 seasons, third was, I wish they would have just canceled it after the second. It just ruined it. You know, just you're like,
sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
I'm still excited for season 2 to see who they bring in and
for
what
sure.
they do. But yeah, I was a little disappointed at the ending, but
yeah. But I
still
think
a good summer watch.
and amazing that they were able to make that during the pandemic. Like they only had very specific. I mean, there was a lot that went into it that made it incredible. It's just
Absolutely.
the ending. You're just like, oh. But maybe we were expecting too much in the sense that like it's probably more realistic how it ended. Really,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
except the son. I hated that.
that he couldn't stay.
Yeah, he's 16. They're going to come back and get him. It's not like they show this like triumphant thing of him in the water. And like, no, they're on a plane back to go get him. This is Home Alone 2 or Home Alone 4. It's over.
That's so funny. That's true.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, his character was such a cool part of the show just because he's like the only person who had like a reckoning.
Yeah.
Maybe not the only, but I think maybe the only.
Maybe. And the one guy, sorry, the boyfriend of Jennifer Coolidge.
Paula.
Jennifer Coolidge being Uncle Rico. That blew my mind from
right?
Napoleon Dynamite.
You told me that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, yeah. So many good things to watch and so many good stories to tell. Do you want some clues for the next one?
Please.
Okay. I feel like these clues might be very guessable.
Okay.
But I'm just going to go with them because I'm at the top of my research. Mm-hmm. And so it's like I can't give something more obscure at this point. But
Sure.
I am really excited to tell this story.
Okay.
And the clues are... Actually, there's been a couple references to major things in my story in this episode that you said unknowingly. But I do think you know the story.
Okay. I'm not going to guess.
Okay.
Just because everybody can have their chance.
Okay, so Melissa's not going to guess. So listeners, here are your clues. Something I know a lot about, which is golf. Just kidding. I don't know anything about golf. New York City.
Okay.
And an NDA.
Ooh.
So
yes. I think I know what it is. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I actually have you to thank for this story idea. So you do know, I think.
Definitely.
But we'll talk about it more at the next episode.
Can't wait.
It's
Super
good.
excited.
Yeah. Me too. Until then.
Have a great week, everyone. Find us on social media at Criminality Show. I think on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Rebekah at Dialogue Podcast. Check her out every Wednesday.
Every Tuesday, you can hear Melissa, one half of Moms and Murder podcast.
And find us on YouTube. We're here. The first 12 minutes isn't on of the last one because I forgot to hit record, but this week should be fine.
Yay, we did it. We're waving from YouTube land. So awkward. This is why, oh my gosh, it's the morning. Okay, let's never do this at 8 in the morning again.
Sounds good.
But this was good. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Criminality. If you're enjoying the show, please head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you listen and give the show a rating and review. The reality is it would be a crime to keep your thoughts to yourself.
And come join the fun outside of the podcast and follow us on social media. We are at Criminality Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Memes are welcome. We'll see you in 2 weeks with a new episode. Until then, you can catch my co-host Melissa on her weekly show, Moms and Murder.
And Rebekah Sebastian on her podcast, Dialogue, a true crime conversation. Don't forget, loving reality
Isn't a crime.